So the word social media might bring you out again in a rash, might bring you out in a cold sweat. It's a fascinating beast to contend with as a small business. So when I was married, I've been married for, it'd be 12 years this year. When I was getting married, there was no Pinterest. There was no, I think Facebook was just starting, no Instagram, Twitter, whether Twitter was around. So social media was just a nothing really. And now, as a florist, I have to contend with Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my blog and my website. So that's 6 things that I use as a small business. So managing that social media is something else. I have, looked at hiring, marketing, social media manager, but again, I'm a small business. I don't have the money to shell out on a monthly retainer for someone at the moment. I am looking to employ someone on a, one day every 2 weeks to help me. But those 6 things I need to be able to be keeping sort of thereabouts up to date. How do you do that? That's the question. I've heard many theories, and I've been to many social media workshops, that you should only do like 1 or 2 really well, and then stuff the rest of them. And that, to a certain extent, that's okay. But I think there is an element of the fact that as a wedding florist, brides are going to be on Pinterest, Instagram, not so much Twitter and Facebook, those 3 things. And then as a result of that, they're going to get linked to my website. And where else? No, they'll get linked to my website. So those 4 things, at least, that I need to keep up to date. I need to be relevant. So, and the blog as well. Forgot the blog. So, in ideal world, I'd love to do 1 blog a month if I'm lucky. And I get there I write 1 blog every 2 months if I'm lucky. So I'm trying with that. With blogs, if you look at my phone, there is 5 years worth of photos of flowers and my dog, and occasionally my husband. So that's my content. So I'm taking photographs all the time of what I'm doing, what I'm working on. So that's where I get my content from. I try and think at the beginning of the year at least to look at trends, what I see coming, and I'll blog about that. I'll blog about weddings that I do. They're really simple, and I heard someone say that blogs shouldn't take longer than about half an hour for you to put together. So they don't need to be much writing. If you look at my social media, I use a lot of words like fabulous and lovely and gorgeous and beautiful. So lots of positive expletives. So when I blog about weddings that I do. I also blog about workshops, and also recently I've started doing how-tos. Those are fantastic and well worth doing. So those would be my things to think about with the blog. So that's content that can just keep that just there, and people can click on. It's good, I think, really positive on your website to see that stuff is updated. So that blog, try and keep it updated, because it looks like you care then when couples click onto your website. Next thing would be Facebook. I really struggle. I attempt to put something on there once a day. It probably the longest it'll go is 3-4 days, and then you hopefully get a reminder. No one's seen you recently. You need to post something, and then you feel guilty. The useful thing with Facebook is that you can, and the word has completely gone out of my brain, but you can plan ahead. So you can put photos and content writing in, and then you can put it onto what day you want it to appear. So that's really useful. If you're stupidly organised, you could do that maybe on a Monday, and just plan your week of content. Well worth doing. So that's Facebook. Instagram is another joy. I put my hand up and say I'm completely addicted to it. But it's beginning as my numbers have gone up. It's where I'm finding brides. It's where I'm finding people who want to come and want to come on my workshops. So it's been worth putting the time in. I saw one florist that I really look up to. I mean, she's got something like 15,000 followers. Someone said to her, "Why are you addicted to Instagram?" She was like, "Well, 90% of my business comes from here, so I need to be addicted to it." And I thought that's really interesting. So yeah, Instagram. And my tip with Instagram is just making sure that your photos look good. one thing that my husband moans at me about is when I take a photograph, he's making sure the whole arrangement or the bouquet is in the picture, because I try and be arty and, you know, like a stem of, I don't know, Lysianthus will be cut out. He's like, why have you done that? But he's right in to a certain extent. Just try and capture everything that you're working on. Think about the light, think about where you are. You know, photographing in sunlight is an absolute bitch, don't bother. So yeah, making sure the photographs are really good. And then the hardest thing, again, you know, talking to other business owners, is the captions. What do you put? Because I think some people I follow, their captions are hilarious, and you're just like, well, how do you come up with this stuff? Are you just naturally funny? I'm probably quite sarcastic in my day-to-day world, so I can't be so much on Instagram. I need to be, you know, light and breezy and all that kind of nonsense. So I try and give myself a break. If I don't feel like I've got anything to talk about, then I will leave it for an hour and then post later, think about it later. That's probably one of my tips. But if you're struggling with what to put, just keep it quite factual. You know, this is a bouquet I made last week. I really enjoyed it. The bride loved the colour. You know, talk about all the positive side of things. Maybe talk about the flowers that you used. You know, I used amnesia roses, or whatever. Yeah, and then just list it off like that. Hashtags are an interesting one. I've been told that you can use up to 30, I think. And a tip for that would be keeping all the hashtags in your notes, and then you can just copy and paste. Because I used to I'd be writing out every single bloody hashtag in the book, and then it would take me hours. So don't bother. Do that. It's well worth it. Right, so we've had Instagram, Facebook, blog, and then Pinterest. Again, went to a social media workshop, and the lady there said you should be posting up to 30 or pinning up to 30 images a day. I'm sorry, who's got time to be pinning 30 images a day as a joke? So my tip would be, is when you've got a spare 5 minutes, is to post the photos onto Pinterest from your last wedding that you did. Post, I don't know, you've been to a meeting and the bride's talked about trees. Find some pictures of trees on Pinterest and post them onto one of your boards. And then what you can do underneath is you can add your website link, so that people are clicking on, and then they can see where the work comes from. Then they click onto your website, you know, blah 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 blah, and so on. So that's a worthwhile tip. The other thing is you can talk about your work. There's a subscription where you can I can't even get my words out. Where you can talk about the design, you know, what flowers you've used, all that kind of stuff. That's worth doing. But also in the title, this is on my phone, so I just have an iPhone. In the title, just be really direct. So, for instance, I've done a rose bouquet and it's got amnesia roses in. I just literally in the title I'll put amnesia rose bouquet, because a bride's searching, then that will come up. They're searching for amnesia roses. That will come up and they'll see your work. So that's well worth doing. So I am noticing it's definitely worth, you know, the odd 5 minutes here or there when I'm bored and I've got nothing to do, or, you know, I'm just sat on the sofa twiddling my thumbs. It's just to pin up 10, 20, 30 pictures of stuff that I like. The thing I've found hardest to be organised with Pinterest is organised with my boards. I know the ones that the people I follow that I love, their descriptions of their boards are beautiful. They're sort of set up in a really helpful way. You know what they're about. Mine are a bit sort of all over the place at the moment, but it's a work in progress. So we've done Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, blog. Well, going back to the blog thing, I started having business coaching last year, which has been fantastic. And the one thing that I've started doing with my business coach is we kind of meet once a month, there or thereabouts, and we both do blog writing. So it holds us accountable to each other, and that's been really helpful. So if you are a small business owner and you're working by yourself, is why not try and find other people, like-minded people that you can sit in a cafe with, you know, both on your laptops, and you're just working. You can talk, it's okay, we talk, but we try and work as much as we talk, because it can be it is lonely running your own business. You're in your head a lot of the time, so it's worth having people that you can kind of offload to or share thoughts and ideas with. In terms of social media, because I think as much as social media is brilliant for connecting with your customers, it can also be a beast to contend with, because there's a lot of you know, feeling of I should be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing this, or, you know, this is rubbish, or whatever. So finding people that you can spend time with that are going to encourage you in that aspect. And I think my final thing about social media is that delight that everyone struggles with is feeling not good enough. You know, I know there are days where I don't feel so good about my business, so probably it's best that I don't look at social media, because I'll get depressed at the fact that I've only got X amount of followers and this person has got, you know, triple more than I have. So that's probably always a good tip. And I think also do just watch how much time you're spending on social media and why are you on there. Are you on there to do something productive, or are you on there just to waste time and just, you know, fill time, whatever. And this is not me preaching, this is not me judging, this is just what I've learnt for myself. So I do try and, because I think running a business, you're, like I said, you're in your own head a lot of the time, is to try and be productive with social media, use it appropriately, use it to boost your business, use it to you know, build conversation, relationship with other people. But if you're feeling crappy or you're feeling blah about stuff, maybe go out for a walk with the dog, or take the kids to the park, or, you know, something that's just going to get you away from, because it's hard to switch off, really hard to switch off. But those would be my tips about social media. So if you enjoy this video, then click like and subscribe. Thanks.